Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Illinois, we got to talk about you again. I'm telling you, my governor is an idiot. Your governor is downright evil. I don't know how many more videos we're going to end up doing about you, but as long as you got this clown in the governor's mansion, I'm afraid we are. Listen, for those of you who have not followed the trials and tribulations of what happened in Illinois, you will know that their assault weapon ban, or you will discover that their assault weapon ban is absolutely the most nefarious piece of legislation ever passed as it relates to stripping people of Second Amendment rights. It literally went from an innocuous piece of insurance legislation to an outright ban in full effect at that exact moment in less than 72 hours. Now, there's another component, however, that doesn't go into effect until January 1st of 2024, but it is absolutely positively unconstitutional, and we will explain why. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the state that wants to force all lawful gun owners to incriminate themselves. Okay, so once again, we are talking about Illinois' assault weapon ban, but predominantly we're also talking about some of the people behind it because, well, they are a colorful cast of characters to say the least. Now, for those of you who either have geeked out or have not geeked out on this, as we know, Illinois had an assault weapon ban absolutely shoved down their throat by their state legislature in the wee hours of the night. It went into effect just instantly like that. So there were literally people who may not have been keeping up with the news for a couple of days who woke up one day to find out they had a whole collection of now unlawful firearms. Now, the state is not going to necessarily go out and round up all the firearms that pre-existed this ban, so long as you register all of them by the 1st of January of 2024. I thought that gun registries were illegal. Well, yeah, I thought a lot of things, but apparently in the state of Illinois, you certainly march to your own drummer. But here's the thing. As I mentioned earlier, when this ban got passed and Governor Pritzker put his signature on it, that made those weapons at that moment unlawful. And therefore, when a person then registers these firearms sometime between now and the first of the year, are they not giving the government in writing evidence that they are possessing an unlawful item? Are they not actually incriminating themselves to say, I now own contraband? Because that's exactly what is happening here, okay? And then, of course, the governor is on record of saying, hey, listen, if you don't register these things, well, that's when the time we are going to go out and start rounding these up. And, God help anybody who tries to go do that, because things might get really loud in Illinois for a while. But here's the thing, is that this is placing otherwise lawful, responsible gun-owning Illinois residents in a position where either they are facing confiscation of their property, a violation of the Fifth Amendment, or they're being forced to incriminate themselves, also a violation of the Fifth Amendment. Now, I know the lawmakers in the state of Illinois have clearly not looked at the Fifth Amendment in the last couple of years in drafting legislation, but for the rest of us who do like to geek out and actually operate on real facts and real law and real constitutional principles, the Fifth Amendment reads as follows. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentant or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So this violates the Fifth Amendment on several grounds, because if you don't comply, we're going to take your property. Okay, that's an unconstitutional taking. in violation of the Fifth Amendment. If you do comply, congratulations, we won't take your property yet, but of course your compliance means that we have forced you to file incriminating information against yourself to the government. Now, we understand that there are several lawyers in Illinois that are pursuing legal action based upon these Fifth Amendment grounds, but I want you, everyone in Illinois, to understand that actually Washington is going to try to come to your rescue here, because believe it or not, I actually have good case law here in Washington state that actually assists the cause. Now think about it. This is good case law as it relates to firearm laws from the state of Washington that's going to help the plaintiffs there in the state of Illinois. This is literally like finding a unicorn that craps ice cream. That's how rare this is. But just recently, we had a case called State v. Flannery. Now, Mr. Flannery was charged with assault in the second degree in Washington state. That is a felony. That is a violent felony. And under Washington law, you then get all sorts of conditions of release put on you when you make your first appearance in court. There will be no contact with the victims. And because it is an accusation of a violent felony, Washington law requires the accused to forfeit all firearms and their concealed weapon permit for the pendency of the case. That's the way things worked or used to work in Washington. Well, Flannery basically said, you know what, F you, I'm not going to turn in anything. And the state then charged him with being in unlawful possession of a firearm in violation of the court order. Flannery's attorney argued that the law he was being charged under was unconstitutional. Why was it unconstitutional? Here's why. And this is how it relates to what's going on in Illinois. You see, because when Flannery made that first appearance in court, and that judge then signed the order that says, you shall not possess firearms, that order became effective at that exact moment, which means Flannery at that exact moment cannot possess any firearms. But then law enforcement wants him to go out and round up all of his firearms and bring them to the police station. Does that sound familiar, Illinois, to what's going on here? Because essentially what the operation of law would be is that Flannery, who now cannot possess firearms, must go to his home and possess all of his firearms and bring them to law enforcement and turn them into law enforcement, who can then be witnesses and accumulate evidence of him violating the court order and being in unlawful possession of a firearm. And so when they challenged this statute under the fact that it violated Flannery's Fifth Amendment rights, the court said, you're right, it does, and threw the case out. And this is a Washington state appellate court. Now, could the statute be cured? Yeah, it could be easily cured by just adding a little sentence in there that says gives them immunity for the limited purposes of actually effectuating the surrender. And that, if anyone in the state legislature is listening to me, which they do not, that's the easiest cure for that. However, that is not the state of the statute, nor is that the state of the statute in Illinois. Because right now, somewhere between today and January 1st of next year, folks, all of you are either going to have to incriminate yourself or be subject to a forcible forfeiture and seizure of your property, okay? So we're going to have to keep our eyes very closely on this. This is a whole new way of skinning the cat. This is not a Second Amendment challenge. This is a Fifth Amendment challenge, but this is a solid legal challenge that needs to be made. We will keep our eyes on this. Illinois, you know, we have been watching from a distance. You guys are like a gigantic train wreck. We just cannot take our eyes off of it. Listen, if you got any more questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to contact Washington Gun Law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. In the meantime, I do want all of you to remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.